8, 9, 10 years? Let's just say it's been a long time since I've had one of my favorite teas. And today, we're gonna make some. Oh, and you might want to stick around because this one's gonna be a little bit different.
Sticks.
Welcome back everyone to the Life of an Outdoorsman. Today we're going to be making birch twig tea. And to do that I've brought 4 items along with me. I've brought my survival shovel, my knife, my fire starter, and a canning jar. Let's get to it. So in the intro I said this is going to be special. And the reason it's going to be special is instead of using water for the tea, I'm going to end up using sap from the birch tree itself. So it should give it a little bit more sweetness to the tea, which means it's good. In order to do this, I'm going to have to make a tap with the tools I brought. I'm going to have to tap the tree, collect the sap, make a fire, heat the sap up, get the twigs, shave the twigs off, put the shavings and the twigs in the jar, and let it set for a couple hours. Let's get that started. So as it turns out, the birch trees haven't quite started their sap run yet, but the maple trees are still going. So I'm going to do a maple tree instead of a birch tree, and it should be a little sweeter because it has a higher sugar content in the maple trees. But let's tap a maple tree, I got one right over here, and get our sap starting to drip. Now that we got the sap flowing into the jar, we got to build a fire. And what better place than right here. So here we are at a yellow birch tree. This is a prime example of what you would want to take for your birch twig tea. These are the new shoots that come out every winter. You have the buds on them, but most of all, smoke. So now that we're out of the smoke and in an area that we can see this, this birch twig here, if you take your fingernail and rub it on there, there'll be nice bright green underneath here, underneath the bark. So you're going to want to save the bark and you're going to want to save the twigs. But also if you smell it, it smells like kind of like root beer or wintergreen. It's the wintergreen oils in it that are making the tea. And if you boiled this in an open pot, then you would lose a lot of the oils into the steam. So it would smell nice, but you would lose a lot of your taste and flavor. That's why you want to put it on just warm water with a lid on it to keep those oils in your tea. We want to be able to fill up our jar probably halfway or even full of these little twigs here. So let's collect some more. Another thing I like to do with the birch twigs is not only make tea with them, but also just as you're walking through the bush, grab one off a tree, skin the bark off it with your fingernail or a knife, and just chew on it. Gives you a little bit of wintergreen root beer flavor as you're walking through the bush. Just a little checkup on the sap here, and we've got a good little bit in the jar there. Well, we are now at the culinary section of this video. I'm not telling you how to cook, but right now we got to process these for putting in our jar. So first things first, we're going to take our pieces, chop them up into little short pieces that will end up going in our jar, probably even half this size. Little pieces like this to put in our jar. So let's get chopping. There, now I have the sticks all chopped up into tiny pieces. Now I can take the bigger ones and scrape some of the bark off and leave the bark in the pile, because we're going to throw it all into the jar when we get there. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that for now. It should be good enough. You could go through and scrape every single stick that you want, but it's a very tedious job. I think I'm just going to stick with what I have here, and it should still taste amazing. So I was just sitting around waiting for the sap to fill up in my jar, and I was like, why don't I find a tree that is dripping better than the one I had? So I found one, and look how it gushes. Well, I'm going to collect our jar here. We have enough in there for a good drink. Let's get the twigs in there and get it steeping. Oh man. Found them. Now back to relaxing. Well, as you may be able to tell, it's getting a little dark. This has been sitting for maybe 45 minutes now, and usually you want to let it sit for about 2 hours. So I'm short like an hour and a half, hour and a bit. But we're gonna go ahead and drink it. It's looking really good. It's got a bit of a darker color. A bit of a dark color inside, which means that the steeping did work. It just, I don't think it's steeped long enough, so it might be a little bit weak, but one way to find out. It's been so long. That's really good. It's got some sweetness to it. It's got some wintergreen flavor to it. That's really good. Don't drink it too fast, you get sticks. I should drink it slower and enjoy it more. But it's just too good. Well, I think it's time to finish this up and head on home. Thanks for joining me today. See you on the next one. Sticks.